Right, we're nearly at the stage of doing cladding.
If you're new to this channel, we're James and Sarah, also known as The Whole World or Nothing.
We used to be full-time backpackers, exploring the world and writing about our travels in our blog.
And then the world changed.
We got repatriated from Peru and found ourselves back in the UK at a loose end. So we decided to do a van conversion.
Make sure you hit subscribe now so you can join us in this series as we share the highs and many lows of converting an old Mercedes Sprinter panel van into our dream home on wheels.
I was just getting a little bit concerned that we didn't have enough vertical battens in, because I think ideally you're meant to have them every 30 centimetres, which seems a bit like overkill to me, especially in such a small space. However, the ones that we had in were maybe about a metre apart, which I think is way too far apart. And the problem with that is that the cladding will rattle behind it in between the battens and it won't actually be fixed securely. So we decided to fire a few more vertical battens in. We've had to use slightly thinner wood than the ones that we originally used because it's going on top of our Celotex, which sticks out a little bit from the cavities that we put it into. So I'll just show you what we're doing. So this is the original gap that we had between the battens, and these are the extra battens that I have just fired in here. As you can see, they're a lot closer together than that, so hopefully we're going to stop any rattle and rolling on the cladding itself. On this side as well, probably going to put one either side of the window, and then we have to think about how we're going to frame that, because we're going to build a little shelf out on the bottom, but I think that's going to be a little bit more complicated than it looks. And then fire a couple more in there too, and then hopefully the walls will all be ready to get cladded. So, as has been standard for the past week or so, the weather is pretty grim. I know we always go on about the weather, but it really does make it difficult to do stuff when it's raining and you need to cut things outside or do anything really. What are you doing? Sounds fun.
I forgot what I was doing. I'm making the ply wall for the back of the wardrobe unit thing.
Right.
But it's a little bit tricky because it's quite a big piece, and we could have gone and bought another piece of plywood, but we've got loads of bits of plywood that are actually quite big. Like, this is quite big, but it's not big enough. So I'm making the piece that I need out of 3 bits,
right,
if that makes sense, to use up this ply so it's not just going to waste. I've got all my workings out here. You might not be able to understand that.
Wow, that looks like something out of Good Will Hunting.
It's got a bit wet as well, so you know, I can't see it as well as I could. However, it's all on there. I'm just measuring it up and cutting it down to size, and it's going to be great.
Meanwhile, I've been throwing some screws into this, so we've pretty much got a complete bathroom. Minus the ceiling, but we'll worry about that later.
So what do you think? My measurements were correct?
Your measurements were spot on, yeah. It's looking good. I don't know why I ever doubted you.
Well, probably because the template that I did yesterday, I measured wrong.
Yeah, that was shonky. That's why I doubted you. No, this is perfect. Well done.
This is the back of the wardrobe that we are having down the side of the bed, so that's why it's ply lined and not cladded, because you're not actually going to be able to see it when the wardrobe is in place.
Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say it took us weeks to source and secure this cladding, because not only was it during peak campervan conversion, when the whole country realised they probably weren't going to be going on holiday for a while, so every person and their dog decided to do up a van. But there were also loads of bored, furloughed people at home attempting bits of DIY. Plus, no factories open producing stuff. So it led to what we're sure our ancestors will refer to in centuries to come as the Great Cladding Shortage of 2020. Eventually, we found a stash in Homebase in Leeds, bought the lot and made a killing selling it on the black market. Only kidding. We should have done though. After yesterday's fiasco trying to get all of the cladding, we got back and we were ready, raring to go, and it started absolutely pelting it down with rain. So we couldn't paint anything, we couldn't cut anything, we just had to call it quits really. So this morning we are setting up to do a mammoth painting session where we're going to stain all of the roof, what are they called?
Cladding? How have you forgot their name?
We're going to stain all of the roof cladding, and we are going to paint some of the cladding that's going on the walls, because we're doing them different colours. Right, we're all set up, ready to go. Shall we talk you through the process?
Yeah, so we're doing the ceiling first of all, that we're going to be varnishing in a nice ash colour. And
you say nice, we haven't tested it yet, so it might be horrible.
Yeah, we need to look at it, make sure it's not like really yellow or something. Yeah, so sand them first, wipe them with white spirit just to get any crap off. Treat any big knots with this knot-in solution, and then yeah, put this on. You've got to put 2 to 3 coats of this on, so this is going to take a while. We cracked on with the first stage of sanding and wiping down the cladding with white spirit before starting to apply the knot-in solution.
So we've sanded the first couple of packs and we've just started putting on this knot-in solution. You can see where we've done it on the knots. And we've just stopped for a moment because we're going to see how it dries, and we're going to put a coat of varnish on the first 2 because we're a little bit worried that this knot-in solution is quite dark and the stain that we've got to put on it is actually quite light. I think it's quite natural looking.
Yeah.
So if the knot-in solution stays like that, then
look good.
You're going to be able to see it through the actual varnish that we're putting on, which won't be great, will it?
No, and you couldn't choose a colour for the knot-in solution, as far as I'm aware. It was just knot-in solution.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it dries clear.
Yeah.
Right, we've waited the 15 minutes that you're meant to allow before it's the knot-in solution is dry, and it's really not looking clear. You can visibly see all of the knots that we've just covered. I'm not very hopeful for what's going to be the outcome when we put this varnish on.
No.
But I've had a quick check as well on the website of the company that we bought it from. I think it was B&Q where we got it. And it does specifically say on there that it is a clear knot-in solution. So it should dry clear. But, I mean, it clearly isn't, so that'll be going back.
I'm glad we only did 2. We'll put the paint on anyway, the varnish. See what it looks like, right?
So I'm pretty certain we're not going to be using this knot-in solution.
Nah.
You can see it quite clearly through the varnish. We've got to give it another coat, so we will give it a chance. But what we're going to do, just as a comparison, is to paint one of the bits of cladding that doesn't have any knot-in solution on, and just see. The good thing we've realised though is that we do actually like the colour of the varnish that we've chosen, so that's a bonus. And here's a comparison between the 2 pieces of varnish cladding, the first with knot-in solution and the second without. Okay, we've made a decision, that knot-in solution is going in the bin. We have got the first 4 packs painted. We've kind of run out of space, so we're just going to start painting the first ones that we painted. Again, doing the second coat because it's been an hour since we did those ones. And it's looking alright. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think they look great. I think they're going to look even better with another coat on them.
Hopefully it should deepen the colour a little bit.
Yeah.
Bring out the grain a bit more.
One thing we did realise is when we were taking them out of the packs, we were looking to see which was the best side, like which was the smoothest. I'm painting that side, but as it turns out, there is actually a top and a bottom to them. Like the grooves, the tongue groove bits are slightly different. Luckily, there's only one that we've painted upside down, so we just need to paint the other side of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, don't make that mistake if you are cladding your van and paint the wrong side, because when you come to fit them together, it's not going to be how they should be. So what's happened there then?
Well, we just left all of these things out drying, come back to paint them again for the second coat, and a bird's crapped on this one. I mean, it could be worse, it could have crapped on all of them. But come on. So we've got all of the cladding stained now with that varnish, and it's all looking pretty good. We decided on going for 2 coats rather than 3 coats. We did a little tester to see what the 2 look like, and we actually preferred 2 coats because it's slightly more natural than the 3 coat of the varnish. So now it's time to start firing them in.
So when Jay said we're going to start firing them in, the piece of the cladding, what he actually meant was we're going to have a really long discussion, which included about 7 arguments, and very tentatively, eventually, put one little piece in.
It takes time. No, but the first piece is probably the hardest bit. So then after that, it's just about slotting them into the first piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
But just to explain, the issue that we had was that the van's not straight, it curves in every direction. So in order to have the things going straight, we need to do a bit of measuring, a bit of jiggery pokery, get it in the right place. But then hopefully all the rest of them, because they're going to be butting up, slotting into it, tongue and groove styly, they're just all going to be straight across to the other side. That's the theory.
And the theory started to play out pretty nicely. One thing we definitely recommend if you're putting up this type of cladding is to get your hands on some of these cladding clips. They're really quick and easy to use and make securing cladding very simple.
Okay, so we have got 4 bits of cladding in.
Yay!
It might not look like much, but that to us is such a massive success today, right?
It's so good. They look so amazing, I think. I'm so happy with them.
It's looking good, But the reason we're stopping here, or taking a little bit of a pause, is because the next piece of cladding that we're putting on has got to have lights in, so we need to cut some holes out and work out where the wires are going to go and all that kind of good stuff.
We've got 7 in total. We've got the pattern already. This is the pattern. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a line, and then 2 over that side. That's the bathroom. Then that's the storage area that we're having at the side of the bed.
So that cluster of 4 in the centre is going over our seating area, right?
Yep.
The one at the top of this diagram is going over our kitchen area.
Yep.
And then the 2 at the bottom kind of over our bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wicked. Now, in order to fix them to the piece of cladding, do you want to just show the light?
They've just got these little clips on. Can you see them all right?
Yeah.
So you obviously cut a hole in the wood, put those upwards, push it through, and then clip it down, and then that's what holds it in place in the wood. There's no switches on them because they're just touch ones, so you touch this and the light comes on, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, we've just got to get the holes done.
Just been figuring out how to work out what size to do them and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, it's too big, isn't it, to do well. We have.
Check this out.
I didn't know you had one of those.
I didn't. I found it in your mum's drawer the other day. In a drawer of, bits and bobs. Yeah.
She's got all sorts in there. It's really good.
She has. But look at that. That is going to come in well useful.
I was literally just going to say we haven't got a hole saw that's or a hole saw bit, or whatever they're called, that isn't quite big enough. So we were thinking we were going to have to do it with the jigsaw, like freehand. But yeah, not anymore.
That is about the centre, and I think that is about the size of the hole that we're going to need.
Okay.
So we've marked out on the wood exactly where they're going. Now all we need to do is figure out how to do the electrics.
We know how to do the electrics, man. It's just
Right.
the.
I like the confidence.
We just got to nib a couple of these on, and then they go on dead easy with these. I don't even know what these connectors are called, but basically it means that because we're connecting the lights in parallel so that they're all on the same loop. All this wiring that you can see all on this side is the stuff that's running underneath the, or that's going to be running underneath the cladding on the ceiling. But essentially it's just one big positive circuit, the red wires, and one big negative circuit, the negative wires that loop and go back round into the battery. And off each wire we're just going to be connecting the negative of the lights to the negative circuit and the positive of the wires to the positive circuit. That's all we do. And we've got these really clever things that mean you don't have to like cut the wire, like go about soldering it and all these kinds of mad things, because you just stick one of these on each side, obviously properly, crimp it on and then that just clips onto the main circuit wire, pushes into there, and then you've got them on the circuit.
Bob is your mother's brother.
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't get a word of that.
We set about getting the lights set up with connectors ready to be looped onto the circuit.
So that is the wiring fixed up for the two lights. Looking good, they're in position. All we need to do now is pop that bit of cladding in and hook the wires up to the other bit of wires.
Yeah, the main circuit.
These babies are wired up. All that is left to do is put the fuse in. And what do we have to do then?
Just touch them, I think, and they turn on. Well, they
Okay.
should do anyway. That's what it says on the specifications.
All right, get that fuse in. I'm excited about this.
I'm scared.
You're scared?
Yeah, in case it doesn't work. Ready?
Go on. No!
Oh, why is it not working?
What about the other one? You are joking. Oh dear. Back to the drawing board. Right, we're going to call it a night there. We have been working for probably about an hour trying to get these lights working.
Yeah.
But we haven't identified the problem yet. They just kept blowing each fuse that we put in, and we isolated each light, made sure that it wasn't the lights themselves. We've checked another light against the same fuse, and that works as well. So we're thinking it might be one of the connections that we've put together, or it could be something else. Yeah. But it's dark, so we'd need a light to do any more exploring.
Yeah.
We're going to call it a day. It has been a good day. We've got a lot done.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not look like a lot because we've only got kind of 5 bits of cladding in.
Yeah. But the first one was the hardest, and we know what we're doing now.
It was. And also, we've got them all varnished, got them all stained.
Yeah.
Ready to fly up tomorrow once we fix these lights.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. And it's also good that, you know, we're having these problems and fuses are blowing and like we're having to figure out what's going on now rather than like when we've already put stuff together and we're on the road.
Exactly.
So it just makes us know even more about the electric system.
There we go, that's the spirit. Good morning, people.
Morning.
So we have slept on our electrical problem and we have realised we haven't got a clue what's going on.
I was going to say, do you know? Because
I don't know, no.
I don't know at all.
No, so we've got a bit of troubleshooting to do this morning. We need to basically check everything and figure out why these lights keep blowing those fuses. We tested and tested and tested and tried everything we could think of before eventually getting them working intermittently. This made us think it was just poor connections from basically holding the circuit together with our hands that was the cause. So we wired the 2 lights back in again and decided to put an actual connector on instead of just taping the cables together.
Alright, so I've put the proper terminals on these, the proper terminals on the light. Let's connect these together, turn it on and see if the fuse still pops or not.
If the fuse pops, then we're just going to have to rip it all out.
Yeah, I think we would just drive the van off a ditch, do you know what I mean? Just
Off a ditch?
Off a ditch, into a ditch.
Off a cliff?
Off a cliff. Or one of those things.
Alright, here it goes. I'm going to reconnect the circuit, watch for the fuse up here to see if there's a big spark. I think we're alright.
Is it?
I think so. So let's check the lights.
Woo!
Whoa! Now let's do the other two. Hey!
Boom!
Light them up! So that is that sorted.
Yeah. The moral of the story is, when you're putting your LED lights in and you're checking the circuit, don't just hold two bits of wire together, because blows the fuse. Good thing about these lights, after we were slagging them off as well, saying they were crap, they're not.
They're
Really
pretty
good.
decent, yeah. So they are. You turn them on by touching the outside of the thing, but you also dim them up and down by just touching them and holding it on the bevel. And another good feature is that they have a memory. So when you dim it and then turn it off, the next time you turn it on again, it will turn on to the same level, I guess,
Yeah.
that you turned it off at.
Getting the lighting problem sorted meant that the cladding started flying in pretty quickly, and we were so happy with ourselves that we decided to install the bathroom light as well. Right, where are you up to?
We are on an absolute roll now, boys and girls. We have just installed the bathroom light, ran the cable along there, pushed it into the conduit, bashed it through the hole. Ah! And also, we discovered that it does this. We didn't even know about that. It's dimmable like the other ones.
It's wicked, isn't it?
So that is pretty cool, and it's quite bright actually.
Go on then, tell us your tip.
Right, so we're just about to pop this light in the piece of cladding, and we realised that the insulation is really getting quite low because of the curvature of the van's roof. In some places on the edges, it's actually almost the same kind of depth as the battens, which means that if we were to put the light in as it is, then it would potentially be touching the foil of the insulation, and that is bad. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think what it would do is short the circuit, or
Yeah, it can use the, well, it'd be used because it's foil, it conducts it, so yeah, it isn't good at all.
so to get around that, what we've done is we've just stuck a square of insulation tape onto the insulation, and that is going to be in between the light and the foil, so if it ever does try and touch it, then nothing's going to happen because that insulation tape is separating the two bits of metal. Well, as you can see from the lights behind us and the cladding, we absolutely smashed the granny out of today and yesterday, although we haven't got everything that we intended to done, because you can see there a little bit of the ceiling still isn't cladded. But we're well on track.
Yeah, we would have had it done if we hadn't have been faffing around so long getting the lights working this morning with all that jazz. That took hours.
Exactly. That little setback kind of derailed us a little bit, but we
So
figured it out.
sorted, yeah.
So that's the important thing, and then tomorrow we can get the rest of this up and then hopefully start on cladding the walls. Morning people, we are ready and raring to go again today. We've got a few more bits of cladding to fire into the ceiling this morning. I think we've got 3 or 4 more lights to put in as well, and then we've got a big painting day where we're going to be painting the cladding that's going on the walls, and hopefully we might even be able to start getting some of that in later on. Okay, so we have got down to the final piece of cladding, right? For the ceiling.
Yes!
And it's going to be a little bit tricky because it's quite tight. We're not going to be able to knock it in at all. We're not really sure how we're going to secure it because the battens that we've got they don't go all the way to the edge of the ceiling. The reason for that is that electric cable that's going all the way across, which is actually the fan electric, so we couldn't move it, we couldn't do anything with it. That's just how it is. So we're going to have a think about how to put this last piece in, right?
I think we're just going to have to pop it in, and then the bit that's going to secure it in is the wall that will go up to it.
It's like actual magic. When you think about it, you know, there's no hookup, there's no mains power, it's just sun, and then we get these lights. It's pretty cool. Anyway, it took us a lot longer than we thought to finish the ceiling, and the reason being that last piece was really fiddly to get in. We had to do quite a few little modifications, and particularly this end piece here, because the curvature of the van made it really, really difficult, so it just took a lot of working out and fiddling around with. But we got there in the end. It's a lot later in the day than we thought it would be, and we thought that we were going to get all of the other cladding painted and probably start getting some up on the walls. That looks like it was a very unrealistic target or prediction to set for the day. I don't know why we haven't learnt yet.
I know.
We literally do this every day.
Never. I know.
Lofty goals, and then we're disappointed when we do hardly anything. Well, that's it for this week, dudes. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below, and we'd love to hear from you in the comments as well. Let us know your thoughts. Plus, if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe and hit the little alarm bell so you get notified when we post new videos. And if you're one of the ones who just keeps coming back for more every week, thank you so much. We genuinely really appreciate it. If somehow you hadn't already guessed it, next week we're going to be doing the same thing again, but this time on the walls with white bits of wood and no electrical bloopers, and maybe a few other things that make the van look a bit more polished.